Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of American Corner Malang podcast. So, today is a really special occasion because today we have a really special guest. He came straight from Surabaya to Malang. Please welcome Sam Freeze.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I'm going to introduce myself first. I'm Alma Kanita from International Relations major, and today I'm partnering with.
Hello, I'm Ria. I'm the director of American Corner Malang.
So today we're going to have a really interesting Q&A session and also silly little games, which is guess the pictures, and we'll find out about it later. So welcome to American Corner Malang podcast.
More than viewers, we create awareness. So, hello, Sam Chris.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very
You're
much for
doing
having
great.
me. It's very exciting to be here.
Alright, thank you very much. Jadi, bahasa Indonesia masih ingat?
Ya masih ingat, lumayan.
Oh, okay. Bentar ya. Right, okay, but we will do it in English
Maaf,
anyway.
bukan lumayan, nayamul.
Oh, Nayamul. Oh, yeah. Okay, Sam Chris. So you are well known as the newly appointed the Consulate General US in Surabaya here. But what many not know is your close ties or bond with Indonesia, especially in Malang. So can you please tell about your background or your experience when you were in Malang?
Sure. So again, thank you very much for having me today. It's really exciting. My first podcast here, my first visit to the American Corner Malang. It's great to see this beautiful campus and to participate. You're right. I've just arrived a few months ago in Surabaya as the new Consul General. And which is a very exciting thing for me personally. As you mentioned, I have a long personal history with Indonesia, and especially with East Java and Malang. So, for me as a career diplomat, to be able to come to this, to come back to this part of Indonesia, feels like coming full circle, as we say. Because it was in Indonesia and specifically here in Malang where my experience with the world outside of America really began. So I was. I'll try to tell it in the shortest way I can. But when I was 19 years old as an undergraduate student, I had an opportunity to come to Indonesia. This was 1996, and it was at a time. It was still a time when the new order in Indonesia was a very different place. There were very few foreign students in Indonesia, and so I had never heard of Malang, and I knew very little about Indonesia. I knew where it was on the map, but like most Americans, it's very far away, and I didn't know too much. So I first came to Malang and was very confused by everything. I had no Indonesian, no Javanese. I knew one person. But what was so amazing about that experience as a foreign exchange student was how quickly I was received by the community, and how quickly I went from being a curiosity as a foreigner to just being another student on campus.
Oh, that's lovely.
I think there's this unique character of Indonesia, which is very similar to the United States, where even though people come from different places or different backgrounds, very quickly they're just accepted into the community. This is not true in many parts of the world. So for me, coming here as an exchange student, I lived kind of in between the Brawijaya and what is now UNM campuses,
Oh, yeah.
and went to courses at what was then IKIP Malang.
Yeah.
And it was an experience that I can easily and honestly say completely changed my life. After being here as a student and experiencing this profoundly different but profoundly welcoming and incredibly interesting place, I became convinced that what I wanted to do with my life was to engage with the wider world. And so I was one time an international relations student, and once I had this experience of foreign education, I was completely hooked.
All right.
And so I began my journey outside the United States in Indonesia, and that's why I say it feels so amazing to be back here towards the not the end of my career, but the second half of my career,
Yeah.
to be back here to be the American Consul General,
Yeah.
and to come back to where the place that it all started for me.
Okay. Oh wow. So I want to cry, right? Okay. So it's very interesting when I heard that you were accepted fully by the community. Like at first you used to find only one person, then you have lots of friends. You identify yourself as Arema or
Of course.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
really? Yeah.
No,
How
it's
do you find a close bond you and
yeah. You know, when I lived here, after 1 or 2 days, I was not. Oh, aduh, londo. No, it just became another anak kos, right?
all right.
And so I was just very much part of the community. So, um, you know, to become Karangalam very quickly, and I still
Yeah.
kind of identify. Malang is kind of my kampung halaman kedua. You know,
Oh,
it's just, I really feel like it is my home place, and I was very sad last week to see that Arema lost against Persebaya.
yeah.
Just,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
very tragic. I hope no one in Surabaya is listening, but I do feel this really strong bond
Yeah.
with Malang,
Right.
and it's just really exciting to come back.
Okay, okay. So when you left Malang, like you were here like for about 2 years. What do you miss the most about the city?
Bakso? No. Well, so I mean, a lot of things. I will say Malang has changed a lot since I was here. So in the 1990s, Malang has always been a college town. A lot of universities, a lot of students, a very young vibe. I know it's the same now, but it used to be a much, as we say, a sleepier town, very
Yeah.
sepi before the toll road from Surabaya, before the airport was open. It was a very kind of quiet place.
Yeah.
So when I come to Malang now and I see it's so ramai, there's so many tourists, sometimes macet. It's good, you know, it's exciting. There are new things. So it's changed a lot. And so what's been fun for me is to try to find the old places that I used to go to. Some are still there, some are gone. It's very shocking to me to see a Starbucks in Malang.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
It's a
can't
lot.
imagine. But you know what I mean, in terms of what I miss is I have this tremendous nostalgia for that time, for being, especially because I know for our listeners, this was the world before the internet.
Yes.
So, you know, now when you're far from home, and some of you may be, even though you're studying in Malang, maybe from other parts of Indonesia, it's very easy to call your mom on WhatsApp or stay in touch, email. We didn't have any of that, and so when I was here, I could write a letter home, but it took about 1 month to
Yeah.
get there
Oh,
and 1 month
okay.
received. So in a way, this was good because I was fully and completely
Yeah.
present. I was really here, and that was. To me, I think that's part of what made the experience so incredible. But of course, I always miss Malang. Is such a charming city. It's a great place to walk around and get lost.
Okay, get
It's
lost.
a little, you know, it's a little bit. I know Indonesians say Malang is cold, but no,
Yeah.
it's not cold.
No, no.
But it's a little sejuk, right? It's still
Yeah.
very nice.
Okay.
I
It's
like the
breeze. Okay.
so, but it's very green and beautiful. Can go hiking in the mountains really easily.
Yeah.
It's just Malang is just a wonderful place.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, okay. Let's give applause first. So what year was that? What's the date on this? What year?
So the late 90s, 1996,
Oh,
97.
okay. Were you guys were born 1996? No,
Not
not
yet.
yet.
You were
Yeah.
one person. Okay.
You
All
were
right.
so most of you were born on what, 2000? Oh wow, you're so
2004.
young. How old am I? Right. Okay. So before we move on to Alma to ask about the CG thing, I would like to invite the audience to ask question about the personal life of Sam Chris when he was in Malang in 1960, or maybe how shocked he was when he was here again today, or like whatever about the personal experience about the city. So please, anyone?
Sure.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
please. Okay.
Okay, so I want to ask about maybe your favorite place in Malang.
Ooh.
Oh wow, that's
When
very
you get lost.
nostalgic.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
hard.
And was it still here?
Oh yeah. My favorite place in Malang. Hmm. I think when I was a student, my favorite place was probably Alun-Alun because
Still there.
I could still there. Yes,
Yeah,
of
of
course.
course.
And I think it's because I would love to go and I would buy some food from the kaki lima, and I would sit under the tree, and it was a great place to. We have a term we use in the U.S. We call it to just people watch. and just to observe, people going about their day, the families playing with kids, because it was, um, I don't know, I just loved it. Malang in Indonesia is such a colorful place that I think going to the alun-alun, I would just eat something, sugary and unhealthy, and
And oily.
and just enjoy. And every time I would go, because it wasn't common to have a foreigner there. Always a completely random person or many people would come up to me and ask, "What are you doing here?" And it was a fun way to meet people because like you, I spent most of my time in the university, in the student world, right? You live on campus or living in the course with other students, but you are among people who are like you. But when I would go downtown and I would meet, it could be anybody. It could be someone who worked at the masjid across the street. It could be someone from the Kantor Pos, which I think is still there
Yeah,
on the
yeah, of
alun-alun.
course.
It could be one of the becak drivers. I could people from that I wouldn't normally just bump into, and it was a really fun way to meet people from all different backgrounds, all different classes of society, and talk to them and hear from them, what is their life like? What are their dreams? What do their kids want to do? It really was the best way for me to understand Indonesian society. And I will tell you the coolest thing is that the longer I was here, and I still find this is true today, the longer I'm here, the more I discover that Indonesian society is so much like American society. We share so many things, even though on the surface everything seems different, but it's not. Our commonality as humanity is so strong. So it's a very long answer to a very short question, but thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Sampris. Now let's move on to Alma. Okay.
Okay, so we've heard so many interesting things about how do you spend your teenage days in Malang. So now we're going to move into a more serious and more technical question.
Okay.
Um, relax. It's not a hard question actually.
Good. Okay.
Okay, so you've mentioned some places in Malang. I think I want to give you a clue that one of the places will be appear on one of the questions.
Okay.
So you have to keep that in mind so you can answer it.
Okay.
Okay. Coming from international relations background, I think most people already knew about the embassy.
Mhm.
But I think so most of people still don't know what are the differences between the embassy and the consulate general.
Oh.
Can you please tell us more about it?
Sure, it's a great question, and you're right. People are often kind of confused. So, in Indonesia, we refer to it as the U.S. diplomatic mission, and it has different parts. So, the embassy in Jakarta, in the capital city, is is one part of the diplomatic mission. But we also have two uh, other offices in Indonesia. One is the Consulate General in Surabaya, and we have a small consulate in Medan. And there's a difference between a consulate and a consulate general, which is confusing, but I'll leave that aside. So, but I think maybe the best way to think about it is a little bit maybe like UMM. You have Campus Satu, Campus Dua, Campus Tiga, right? So kind of like the embassy is sort of like the main campus. It's the main office. And Consulate General Surabaya is part of our diplomatic, as we say, diplomatic footprint here, but it's just a separate office. And what we do is a little bit, we do a slightly different thing at the Consulate General. So in Jakarta, the embassy's main task is it's to manage what we call the bilateral relationship. This is the central government with central government. And this is where we do things like trade agreements and military cooperation, cooperation of all kinds. We work together through ASEAN or through international bodies, the United Nations or things like that. In Surabaya, we are responsible for managing the relationships with provincial governments, so East Java and throughout Eastern Indonesia. And so what we do is we manage our interactions and the relationships with provincial, city governments, and other levels, and we also focus a lot on what we refer to as people-to-people ties. And so I think the best way I can frame this is you know, bilateral relationships between two countries kind of have two different parts. One is the government to government policy part, and the other is the people to people ties part. The embassy does most of the big government to government, and we focus a lot of our energy on the people to people ties. Things like what we're doing today. So at the Consulate General, we run a lot of public affairs programs that includes our American corners, but we also manage scholarships and exchange programs where Indonesians can go to the United States and American students come to Indonesia. We also we work with, as I said, provincial governments, but also U.S. companies that are operating in this part of the country um, to help bring their investment to Indonesia. So, for example, if you drive from Malang to Surabaya, you'll pass by a huge facility that says Cargill on the side. That's an American company that has a large manufacturing operation, and it works with Indonesian agriculture to export Indonesian food products. So things like that. But it's a wide variety of things, but I guess again a really long answer to a short question.
Okay.
But a consulate general, it's part of the embassy, but like a branch office, I guess.
So it's like branch office. Okay. So basically, embassy and the consulate general is like mother and daughter.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Not
Okay.
not father and son, mother and daughter. I like it.
Okay. Okay. Moving on from the question. It's still the similar topic.
Mhm.
How do you usually connect with people? Like, do you have other other partner, or do you work with local NGO to connect with people, or do you
We
have any other way?
we do all of it, right?
Oh.
So we connect with we our goal is to connect with people throughout Indonesian society. So of course, as a diplomat, I spend a lot of time meeting with governors and Indonesian government officials. But our team we do work with NGOs. We work with what we call civil society organizations, which could be NGOs, but also organizations like Muhammadiyah and Nadlatul Ulama. Um, we work through, so which are religious organizations, but also a really important part of civil society in Indonesia. Um, we work with environmental groups. Um, we have relationships with trade unions. I think any any partner that gives us insight into Indonesian society, what Indonesians are thinking about, what their hopes are, what they're concerned about, and we're looking for areas that we can partner and cooperate. So we have at the Consulate General we have various offices, and some of them specialize in relationships with different types of organizations. Um, but we want to be we want to have contact with everyone. And I will say personally, one thing I like to do, it kind of reminds me of my days going to the alun-alun and waiting to meet someone I wouldn't meet. One thing I like to do on the weekends is I will leave my house on my motorcycle and I will just drive into out of Surabaya and go to Mojokerto or Jombang, and I will just try to meet people and talk to them because if I might not meet them in the course of my official day, I still want to know what are people thinking, what's on your mind, what can we do to partner that will make the U.S. Indonesia relationship more advanced and even better. And of course, we meet with folks like you, right? The future of Indonesia, the college students, you're going to go on and become lecturers, rectors, diplomats, business people, scientists, whatever it is you want to do. And we want to meet you, to develop relationships with you. And so 15 years from now, 30 years from now, we can still contact you and say, how's it going? What's on your mind? What can we do together as part of the bigger U.S. Indonesia relationship? So we try to meet with everybody.
Okay, I think it's a really nice way to connect with people by spending your day off and talking to a bunch of random people on the street. And now, another similar question is you have talked about your day off. Now we're talking about how do you spend your day as Consul General. Can you please tell us about your daily routine or maybe just your daily duties in general?
Sure, sure. Um, so it's hard for me to say a daily routine. I don't have a normal day,
Interesting.
but maybe I can describe what is a what a typical week looks like. Maybe we'll start with that. So, so like for instance, this week. So today I'm here this morning with you. To this is my first time to visit our American Corner, which is a really important place for us that we have in Malang that for to build relationships with college students and others who might visit. Once we finish here, I'm going to go to UIN to launch a scholarship program, which is this specific one is for it's a 2-year English language program that is the participants are all from what we say disadvantaged backgrounds, so yang kurang mampu, who normally would not have access to high quality English education, and so we're holding a celebration for the new participants in that program. I might earlier this week I had some meetings with the mayor's office of Surabaya to talk about a sister cities partnership with Seattle, which they've had for a long time and something we can do there. I might travel within our what we say our district, which encompasses most of eastern Indonesia, and so. Uh, I think, some weeks I might fly to Makassar for official meetings. We're also going to open an American corner in Makassar in early next year. Um, One day I might drive with my team to Jombang to meet with the leadership at Pesantren Tepu Ireng to talk about our partnerships with them. Um, Other days I may actually earlier this week the U.S. ambassador Kamala Lakhter was in Surabaya for a short visit. We have, as you might know, we have the Peace Corps in Indonesia. So on Tuesday morning, we have a new group of 20 Peace Corps volunteers who are going to be placed in East and West Java in schools teaching English. And so this new group of Peace Corps volunteers, they were there for their official take the oath and swearing in. Um, I also had a lunch with representatives from U.S. companies who are working in East Java. So a typical week could be any of those things. I think me and my team in Surabaya, everything that the U.S. government is interested in and doing in Eastern Indonesia, we're a part of. So um, it's a very broad portfolio and encompasses a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of fun, especially when I get to come do this stuff.
Wow, so your schedule is really
Tight.
packed.
Yeah.
It's so tight. Okay, so I actually have one more
Sure.
question. Because I'm coming from so Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang has a program called the Center of Excellence (COE), and one of it is in international relations major, and it is called para diplomacy class. And you have mentioned about sister cities, right? Uh, is there any other program or any other agenda for sister city prospects for in the East Java areas in the future?
That's a good question. My honest answer is I don't know, but it's a good question. I think I'll take that back to my team. I have one of the offices at the consulate is our kind of primary office where we think about sister cities. I think it's a great idea to see if we can either use an existing sister cities agreements that exist to do some new and interesting things, or if we have cities that are interested in new agreements with American cities to try to make those connections. I think, in that vein of making connections, one of the things that we do most as diplomats is convene people together. We bring people together who might otherwise never meet each other. And so things like sister cities are exactly that, where we as the diplomatic office don't necessarily need to play a critical role in a sister cities agreement. But what's important is we put people together and then they can figure out what's best for them. Um, and so I think that's honestly, we do a lot of this at American Spaces too. When we have programs, one of the things I most enjoy about it is the people who come and participate in the program. Usually they've never met each other, even though sometimes they're from the same university or the same city. And I find that one of the most rewarding things we do as diplomats is help people make connections that they can use to grow and move forward, um, that we can just play matchmaker a little bit.
Oh, okay. Professional matchmaker.
That's right.
All right, thank you so much, Sam Chris. Now, I think it's a really, really good explanations coming from the Consul General of the United States for Surabaya. And now we're going to move on to the
Question
game.
first, maybe?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Another question about the CG style.
Does anyone have any questions to our CG?
I see one question. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So my question is, what inspired you to be involved in this consulate general section? That's
So let me answer. Let's see, what inspired me to be involved? I think let me answer it in terms of what inspired me um, to become a diplomat. I think um, the amazing opportunity to come back to East Java is a little bit lucky, because as diplomats, it's very we can't really say I want to go and work in one country, because sometimes a job is not available when we're available to go. So I feel extremely lucky that I've had the opportunity, actually two times, because I had a previous assignment at the embassy in Jakarta. So this is, I feel like I struck gold two times. But in terms of what has inspired me to pursue a career as a diplomat, I think one, again, it really started during my time in Malang, where I recognized the value of interacting as an American with citizens of other countries, to learn more about each other, and um, to move away from our assumptions. So I will tell you, this may sound a little bit silly, but when I was in Malang, um, there was there was, again, before the internet, and there were only, I think, 3 TV channels, right?
Yeah.
And there was so not a lot of choices,
Yeah.
but there were American TV shows that everybody in Indonesia watched. It was things like Baywatch, remember
The
Baywatch?
MacGyver.
MacGyver,
Yeah.
Knight Rider. And so sometimes when I would meet Indonesians, they would say, "Oh, you're American. Can I see your gun?"
Oh,
But
wow.
I don't have a gun, but there was this set of assumptions that people had from
Yeah,
TV,
from TV.
that Americans, we all, I guess, had a gun, a blonde girlfriend,
Okay.
lived by the beach,
Okay.
and had a convertible car.
The Beverly Hills.
None of which
yeah.
was true for me, right? And so it was a fun way to kind of take these assumptions and actually say, well, no, here's what America's really like. And I think for, when Americans come to Indonesia, that's what I tell them. I say, you may have ideas about what Indonesia is, but set that aside. Talk to people, find out what Indonesia and Indonesians are, what it's really like, what people are really like. And again, what you find is we're all pretty much the same. So I think that experience of learning how valuable it was to have in-person contact to bridge between our countries was really impactful for me. And I think I come from a family of that is always involved in public service. My parents are teachers, and so I always wanted to do something that was for the benefit of my community, of my country, and my neighbors. And so I think my interest in bridging gaps and building relationships with people from other countries, and wanting to do something that was in the service of my people. I think the natural conclusion was to pursue a career in diplomacy. And I've been doing this for 22 years, maybe 23 years.
As old as them.
I'll have to do the math.
Okay.
I know more than you've been around.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing to do it. Diplomacy is very challenging, but when we succeed, by definition, we're succeeding together, right? Diplomacy is never a winner and loser. It is always a compromise. It is finding things that we have mutual interest that we build on. And so when we have diplomatic successes, it reminds me so much of that very foundational experience of learning that we actually do have a lot in common, and we can build personal relationships on that. It's the same with governments. So I feel like I'm giving really long answers to simple questions, but that's the best way I can describe what inspired me to end up where I am today.
Counter prejudice. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go, Pastor. Some game. Now the games is very exciting, at least for us. I hope you find it
So
exciting
nervous.
too. Oh, no. We have pictures here.
Okay.
Not much. Not many. Just maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then you have to guess what it is, and you
Okay.
have to answer it in Bahasa Indonesia.
Okay.
Okay. And the picture is very random. It can be everything. It can be food. It can be an activity. It can be a place.
Okay.
Oh, I'll show it to the audience first, and then show it to you.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
This one.
Okay. All right.
This one, the one in the camera. Can you see it? So, what is it?
Tugumalang.
Oh, the Gumana.
Oh, that one's easy.
Okay.
So the
Alma.
next one
Okay.
is this. It's an activities actually. So what is it in Bahasa?
Berenang.
Oh, okay.
Great.
I'll invite the audience to find something difficult.
Oh.
Okay. And this one. Okay. So,
Oh. Oh. Lupa.
lupa.
Yeah.
Okay, or maybe can you try to guess in English?
Well, oh, it's the dance.
Yes, the
I can't think of the name of it. It's very khas Malang.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember the
Oh,
name. I'm
right.
sorry.
Is it Tari Topeng?
Tari Topeng,
Yeah,
yep.
Tari
Okay.
Topeng, the mask
Mhm.
dance. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alma.
Okay.
Next question.
Well, now that I got one wrong, the pressure is off. So I can't be perfect anymore.
This one is pretty easy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is.
Nasi goreng.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You should show rujak cingur. It should be harder. And this the last. This one. Do you recognize this?
Let's see. What is that?
See?
I do recognize it. I'm just trying to think where
Yeah.
it is. I don't remember the name of the street.
Yeah.
I know where it is. I know how to walk there. That's very-
Really? Okay. Maybe can you describe like what it is? Like between what intersection or near what building?
So it's in the. I'm trying to think. I can't remember how to get there, but it's a very busy place at night. People go and they hang out and we jalan-jalan and eat junk food and I spent a lot of time there. I can't believe I forgot. I'm so
Okay.
embarrassed.
So this is kayu tangan.
Kayu tangan. Yes, of course, of course.
It changes a lot. It becomes more like Malioburu now. Maybe
Yeah.
you should visit there at night.
Yeah,
Oh, you already?
I haven't been at night. I've been during the day. It's very quiet,
Yeah.
but yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've been at night
Yeah.
for 25 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
so I need to go back.
Yeah, you can do the kampung walking. So they have small coffee shops
Okay.
inside the
Oh,
kampung.
yeah, I've heard there's a lot of new stuff down there. So very cool.
And they
Okay.
have like Vienna like because we just sip the coffee while looking at the river.
Ooh, it's very fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, good. Well, you've added to my long list of new things to check out.
Yay.
So good.
Okay, sure. Last album, please.
Last one. This one is pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Is
That
it?
one.
What is this?
Keripik tempe.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think that audience prepare any pictures or anything. So, Sam Chris, is there any last message in Bahasa Jawa? We call it wajangan. You know something about wajangan, yeah. Or for the youth, the young generations of Indonesia, especially in UMM, who also participate in the American Corners and our volunteers. Like, yeah, what
Well,
you may say to them.
Tangamas.
Pengamas. You know that?
Semangat.
Ah.
Also kibalan. Yeah. I think maybe I'll spare you my very rusty Javanese, but
It's okay.
but I think my message is one. Thank you for coming and participating. Think. It sounds very cliche to say this, but you are the future of your country, and that is an obligation that I hope you take seriously. So, whatever you are studying, work hard at it. Think about what you can do with your education and with your skills and with the opportunities you have to work for the benefit of your community and Indonesia. And always know that we in the United States government always stand ready to partner with you. We're very proud of the relationship we've had with Indonesia for the last 75 years this year. And we're proud of that, but we're even more excited about the next 75 years. And so I ask and encourage all of you to work hard, find a way to be a part of that shared future. And my team and I are really excited to work with you down the line. So.
Thank you very much.
everyone, basically that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for tuning in our newest episode, and please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, American Corner Malang. See you guys next time.
Thank you.